Alrighty, and we're back with another episode of the Writers Guild podcast. I'm Belton, and with me, as always, is Kasen. What's up, buddy? We started early today, bright and early.
6 a.m.
Yeah, man. So today's topic is about the Percy Jackson series, which is something that's very near and dear to my heart. This is kind of just one of those more so like off the cuff. What do we think? What do we feel about this sort of episodes? Kind of like the Superman one. Kasen, how about you just tell the folks back home what you know about it? I know the Percy Jackson series isn't something that you got into back in the day, but I know you have some familiarity with it. Would you like to touch on a little bit of that? I know it'll be more by the end of the episode after I've done my bit.
Convinced me. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I think the concept's brilliant. I mean, combining teenagers with like Greek mythology and in our modern world, I think it's a really, really cool concept.
Yeah.
And I watched the Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief movie and thought it was good. I remember there was like a Lady Gaga song in there. Yeah, so again, I don't know like a whole ton about it, but I think the concept's great, and it's kind of your quintessential, like when I think of YA classics, it's one of the first ones that pop into my head.
Yeah.
It just seems like one of those book series that has transcended our time and will likely be something that 30 years from now, when they're referencing YA novels, that's bound to come up, because I think that's going to be one that's pretty timeless. So that's my thought on it. I can't speak to how well they're written or the story arcs or character development, but you can.
I can. Oh, dude, So this is going to be a little off the cuff and rambling. My request from you is to kind of like prod me along with questions. That'll help me recall things. I took some notes yesterday. I think to really give like a comprehensive rundown of my take on the books and all the existing adaptations, all two of them. I would have had to have like really sat down and like kind of dug out of my mind the different key moments and jotted down notes. So I've got some notes, but again, I'll probably need a little bit of help with like some questions that kind of prod me along. But yeah, dude. So as a kid growing up reading the Percy Jackson series, the books I thought were completely brilliant. Obviously as a kid, it just hits different. It doesn't read to you like a kid series. No, it was powerful and impactful and mystifying and amazing, and just had such cool, clever moments. One of which I'll get into later. It's just funny how. Yeah. There's anyway. I'll get into that later. But yeah, there's like a moment in the book that just felt really like clever, and like it was this grand twist that was totally mystifying. And it's kind of funny to look back on that as an adult and go like, oh yeah, that was good. A little less, dramatic of an impact. But yeah, so just really, really good. I love them. And in 2010, they made a movie based off the first book, and nobody likes the movie.
Oh, no one likes the movie?
Oh, I say I'm speaking in absolutes. I'm sure there are people who enjoy it, and I would argue that there are aspects. Oh yeah.
Sure, but like readers, like generally like the readers of the books, like it's the same. The adaptation doesn't hold up the original material type of situation.
Oh, dude, readers are vicious, right? I mean,
we're sticklers, man.
Yeah, and I'm no exception, right? Yeah, dude, so the movie, it's like it kind of reminds me of, the early days of superhero films. Like think of like the 1990s or 1999, I think it was when the first X-Men movie came out, and it was like they were embarrassed by the source material and like refused to give people accurate costumes, or like, oh, this is ridiculous, and they gave them black leather instead. It was like they tried to dilute the source material by making it feel like a more generic, movie, and generic has mass appeal. At least that's the idea. And it's much the same with this first Percy Jackson movie, where like they take a lot of what makes it unique and special, like the Greek gods. the idea is that like the Greek gods have been around this whole time and they're still around. And you basically are getting like a modernization of Greek mythology. We're like, yep, he's still here. But, if you were to ever see him, he's wearing a straw hat and a Hawaiian t-shirt and flip-flops and all that. And he looks like one of the guys who's just like hanging out at the beach. And it makes sense. And it's kind of funny. It's a little tongue-in-cheek. But in the movie, they're like, oh, no, we're not doing that. And the outfits you see them wearing are kind of like generic, Greco-Roman, they got like, not the kilt, but whatever that like armored skirt is called. I forget the name of, and the breastplate and the sandals. Yeah. They're wearing that. And Poseidon has like a tattoo of a trident on his arm. And I thought, oh, that's lazy. And they don't put any other effort to like make them stand out. And it's very generic, just down to that character design. But the actors are really good. Like the guy who plays Grover, again, it's not accurate. Like the way Grover is characterized is very off kilter from the book. Like they took his name and they took that he's a satyr, and that's about as far as it goes. However, the actor himself is very charming. He's very talented. He puts on a good performance, and the movie's pretty bland, but like the guy who plays Grover goes a long way to kind of like inject some much needed charisma into the story. And the actor who plays Percy, yeah, he's too old. Percy's supposed to be 12 in the first book, which is pretty ridiculous.
12.
Yeah, kind of ridiculous age for a demigod or not to be, saving the world.
Can we pause on that?
Let's do it.
That's an interesting choice by the author, because he could have easily made him 15, 17, 18, and you would still kind of get that YA vibe.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old, I think that immediately cuts out a massive segment of like, younger adults, like 20s onward, just because I can't really like look at a main character who is 12. And not that any of this is believable to begin with. I mean, we're talking about Greek gods in the modern world, but 12 is so young. That's very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he wrote the book series for his son. His son, growing up, had ADHD, had his dyslexia, and as such was just totally disinterested in English. And that, bummed out Rick Riordan, the author, because he was an English teacher. I don't know if he still does that. But yeah, he said that, as an English teacher, that bummed him out. So he created the story of Percy Jackson as a way of like getting his son into these things. And he recognized, Greek mythology has, much like dinosaurs, is very appealing to kids. So he drew on that. And that's why like Percy Jackson has the focus of like, he's dyslexic. It's basically like a power fantasy, right? For young children, not young children, you know what I mean? For kids, it's a power fantasy for kids. It's like Percy Jackson is a social outcast, a pariah, and he has dyslexia and he has ADHD, and those are actually because he's a demigod. It's not because he's some kid who's behind his peers and he's an outcast. No, Percy, you're special. You have the blood of Poseidon flowing through your veins, He's dyslexic because his brain is wired to read ancient Greek. He has ADHD because his senses are so heightened because he's wired for combat.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. So he was like basically taking the things that his son struggled with, and he was creating a little power fantasy for his son to relate to. So like Percy Jackson was basically his son. So if I were to guess, his son was probably around that age when the book was first written, probably around 12. And when you read it, it's very much written for that demographic. Like I listened to an audiobook of the first book recently, and that was really the way for me to revisit the book, because it's written for kids, and it'd be a lot harder for it to hold my attention otherwise. Just because it's very simply written, not much happens. There's not a lot of depth. It's pretty simple. But very smartly written. And in terms of like coming up with a YA, banger, like Rick Riordan really knew what he was doing. Like, you know, again, Greek mythology, taking all those relatable things of like, you know, coming of age and all that, and pumping it into this fun, exciting story packed with personality. Super smart idea. And much of that personality is missing in the first movie, which is a real bummer. And then you get
Now,
the
can
second
we?
movie. What was up?
I have to push back a little bit on
Okay,
that.
okay, all right, go for it.
I would say making the actors older in the movie was a good call. Would you say true or false to that?
Dude, I know. Talk about hot take, right? Because I know other fans would just go reeling. I was talking to a friend about this
Let's
yesterday.
go.
I completely agree. I actually was saying just that. The thing about casting older people, you could go ahead and age up the cast. Just don't say they're 12. Just like, okay, he's a young adult. Just embrace that. For one
Right.
thing, it's more believable to a wider audience.
Keep it
There's one thing to
vague.
read a book
Right.
for a kid. Yeah, keep it vague. Which they did in the movie, but still, it's like, okay, he's obviously not 12. But anyway,
Mm,
yeah,
right.
I actually agree with that because, you know, the idea of a 12-year-old saving the day is saving the world is just kind of ridiculous. So, like, as an adult, I like the idea, and I see the practical benefit of casting someone who's older because, like, movies take a long time to crank out. You know, there's 3 years for the first to the second Percy Jackson movies, which are the only ones,
There,
and
there's a second movie.
yes.
What?
Oh, I'd love to tell you about that one.
Oh, man. All
And
right. Okay.
dude, I've consumed all the Percy Jackson media that I'm aware of. In terms
Oh
of
my
video media,
gosh.
I've read the books, I watched the movies, and I even watched the Disney show, which I'm getting to. But okay, so anyway, um, the thing about young adults is like at that stage in life, like you've fully developed, and you know, 3 years is not much of a difference, and you're not going to really see the difference. Like if you look at me in my early 20s versus now, uh, you can't really see a difference, you know? Whereas 3 years from 12 to 15 is that's a big deal. That's a very different
Huge.
person. The voice sounds different. The face, it's way different. And just looking at the actor playing Percy now in the show, when you look at season 1 and 2, like he looks a lot more like a man now. You know, you just don't have as much time, so you're afforded that benefit, which you could always do the Lord of the Rings thing and just film a stupid amount of movies back to back. But at any rate, yeah, I have no problem with aging up the cast. I just don't see the problem with it personally. Uh, that and child actors are so hard to find that are good. I mean,
The nail. Yeah.
a good child actor is a hard thing to find. It's very, very rare. And the thing is, like, yeah, the actor who plays Percy Jackson in the movies, yeah, he's too old, but he is young, and he can act. He has so much charisma. He's so convincing in the role. It's just so much better.
I I will say as someone who like hasn't watched the books and just like
Read the
stumbled
books,
upon the
yeah.
got started watch or yeah,
No,
sorry,
I got you. I'm
six
just
man.
messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
Uh, so didn't read the books, stumbled upon the movie, watched the movie. I did enjoy it. I liked his performance a lot. I would say it's probably one of those I'd put in like a B or C
Oh yeah,
category,
I'd say it's okay.
but I didn't. I actually really I thought one of its stronger points was that actor. I don't know his name,
Me neither.
and then the female actress. Immediate crush on that gal.
Oh, beautiful girl. Yeah.
Yeah, I know she's been in some other movies too. I'm blanking on her name as well. Alexandra Daddario or something like that. And then I forget the MC's name, but I thought the cast was like pretty solid. Just
Yeah.
as far as someone who hasn't read the books stumbling upon it, being
Hmm.
like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. Seemed like one of the stronger points. It'd almost be interesting to go and read the books and just kind of be like, oh wow, they didn't nail that. But I wonder
Oh
if I
yeah.
missed my window. Like, can you go back to the books as an adult, read them, and still enjoy them? I doubt there will be that same magic that you got to experience just growing up reading them and feeling enthralled with like the story and pulled into it. I mean, they clearly hold a special place in your heart,
Hmm.
but I think I could still potentially go back and maybe even read them with my sons. That'd be kind of a cool way to go to bed at night. Just
I
yeah,
think that's the way for you to do it. I think if you were to just read
yeah,
these books now, you don't have nostalgia. Like in my case,
Yeah.
reading it, there's like this kind of cool experience where like I have a vague sense of remembering moments and remembering
Mm,
how it
mm.
felt to read it the first time. And it may not
Ooh, yeah.
feel the same way now, because now I read it and I'm like, well, that was pretty simple. That was pretty silly. But I have
Gotcha.
that, past self who's kind of stirring awake, and that's kind of a
Mm.
cool thing. It's cool to remember old things, right? Um, you don't have that, so it just wouldn't be the same. I think you would read it and you'd kind of be like, oh, so that was a nice book, like that was okay. But if you were, dude, reading it with your boys would absolutely be the power move. That
I'm gonna do it.
they would love that. That'd be a great way to bond with them, and their excitement, you could feed off of that, and it could make it special for you in turn. I think that's the only way to do it.
Sweet.
Otherwise, you might just be unimpressed because they're kids' books, and you're a grown man. It's just you're not the target audience.
Grown man, y'all. Yep.
Yeah, buddy, look at that
Yeah.
beard. Woo!
So I know, turned 30 last week.
Yeah, happy birthday,
Crazy.
man. Yeah,
Existential crisis.
yeah.
So a question, dude, for reals though. So a question I had for you
Yeah.
was, you had referenced this really cool point in the
Mhm.
book. Do you want to circle back to that and kind of like talk about that potentially? And
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so before I do that, I need to start talking a little bit about the show.
there's a show.
Yes, the show came out a
Dude,
couple years
I'm
ago.
so in the blank.
Oh,
Okay.
dude. Okay, I'm just gonna lead with my take now, and it's funny because this is a little polarizing. Like people are not unanimous on this at all. If you were to just check any video with with YouTube comments, you'll see people expressing every opinion across the spectrum of possible opinions, considering both adaptations. Uh, I I hate the show.
Hate. Okay.
I hate it.
Strong
I hate
word.
it. It's a strong word, and the reason being because it's clearly a cheap cash grab, and there's been a lot of those from Disney for years now, and I'm sick of it,
Okay.
and I'm so ticked off by it that I don't want to watch any more Disney Plus shows. Like I'm not gonna ever activate Disney Plus again to watch any show of theirs because I
Hey,
can't
can we
support.
talk about
What's up?
Disney? Well, Disney Plus, their like membership tier, I forget the exact amount. I think it's like 13 a month or something
Hmm.
for one of their tiers,
Yeah.
which is a solid price.
Hmm.
But we got that just because I wanted to watch Andor. And it was the most unwatchable experience. Like you basically either need to go with their premium tier, which doesn't have ads, and it's I forget what that is, like
That's like
20 a month or
$18 a
something.
month. That's what I paid for to watch the Percy Jackson show. After taxes, it's like 20
Yeah,
bucks.
20 bucks a month. I mean, you kind of need to go with that one because the other one, the lower one, there's an ad every 5 seconds. It's ridiculous, honestly. We'd finish a 2 minute ad and then another ad would start playing, which I think was like a little glitch, but it was a horrible experience.
Not a glitch they're
Um,
motivated to fix.
I mean, I guess not, but like when you think about it, people are still paying for a subscription to watch your stuff. So you'd think you'd make it like semi-watchable. It doesn't even make sense to me,
Yeah.
requiring payment for that initial tier and then having as many ads as they do, and then also having this higher tier. You mentioned cash grab. There is nothing that says corporate greed like Disney charging that amount for the slop that they've currently been putting out, and then for classics that most of us owned is on VHS that we actually would want to go and watch. So just
Yeah.
really frustrating. My Disney Plus experience is pretty raw and fresh, and
Dude, it's,
I'm sure that could be a fun show.
to reference Star Wars very abruptly, it's streaming was the chosen one. It was the solution to cable TV, and in record time,
Yeah.
it became as bad as cable TV. Um,
Yes.
Like it's not cheaper because if you want to get access to all the same content as before, you have to pay for multiple subscriptions, and you're talking ads across all
Does
the
that be at
platforms.
120 a month?
You're paying lots. So many ads. It's in a bad state. What's got to happen to the industry is there's got to be a shakeup, right? And sometimes that's what happens is these companies push things too far. Consumers respond accordingly, and the companies start losing money, and then they realize, oh wait, we screwed up, and that's when they really try in earnest to win back customers, and that's when good stuff happens. People know how. Anyway, that's a whole can of worms. But yeah, the show, it's a very poor adaptation. The author is actually behind it, and it gets his strong endorsement. I don't know why. If I were in his position, I wouldn't be happy with this because it's a low quality product. It's just very cheap. There's so much. A show or any piece of art should never. The budget should never be the deciding factor for how a story is told. Not that budget restricts things. Not that, like, Star Wars, the original trilogy of Star Wars had a tight budget, and that affected how the world was built. I'm sure it affected a lot of storytelling, but they still were trying with what they had. And so as a consequence, we still got something really, really special, Like, they had budget constraints, but they didn't let that hold them back. And this Percy Jackson show, everything feels like it's just about saving money. There's so many shots of it's very lethargically paced. There's lots of people just standing around and talking happens in the book plenty, but it's very lethargic. The pacing is very slow. The way it's edited, it just doesn't feel energetic. Again, it's very slow. It's very lethargic. And a lot of the suspense that was naturally found in the story with how it's written is absent from the show on account of that editing, the way they tweak the script. The actors themselves, a lot of them just seem like they're phoning it in. Like so to reference the second movie, in the second movie, you get Stanley Tucci playing as Dionysus, which is the best thing ever. Dionysus is crabby and grumpy about being punished by Zeus in the books, and Stanley Tucci takes that and runs with it to perfection. Like one of the curses that Zeus puts on him is that he can't drink wine, and he's the god of wine. So like you see a shot in the movie where he's pouring himself a glass of wine, and as it's spilling into his glass, it's turning to water. And then he like whimpers and he looks at the bottle and he goes, "Such a good year." And it's a really funny moment, and that's every scene he's in is great. I mean, he's an amazing actor, so he knocks it out of the park. It's so much fun. Then I don't know the name of the actor who plays him in the show, but I actually really like this guy. He plays an undercover cop in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he was my favorite character in that sitcom. Granted, it's a sitcom. It's very goofy. Like, your acting talents are not required to be, top shelf stuff. That being said, I thought he put on a good performance in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But in the show, there's a part where he's yelling at a character to not, tell some secret. And it sounded like he was reading off of a teleprompter with his voice raised. It was so bland and empty, and it was devoid of acting. Like, there was really no diving into the character. He was just saying lines was all he was doing. It was so lame. Also, okay, so in the story, there's the idea is presented that the gods have many restrictions imposed on them. They are not allowed to steal powerful artifacts from each other. They're not allowed to enter each other's domains without first an invitation. There's restrictions like that. So in the story, a big part of the plot is the concept that the gods, to get around these restrictions, they have the loophole of using demigods. They'll get demigods to do their dirty work. So when it comes to the main premise of the first book, which is the lightning thief, it's that, Zeus's lightning bolt was stolen from Olympus. Obviously, a god was behind it, but they got a demigod to do it. So in the story, you naturally have to teach the reader the concept that I just told you about. Gods can only do this or that. They're restricted by certain rules, and that's a big deal. And they get around that by getting demigods to do their dirty work. And the way that's told to you in the book, if I remember correctly, it's like Percy's just told about that. He's asking questions about what happened. about this theft, and it's just explained to him this, that, and the third, and it's fine that way. In the show, Percy meets Dionysus again. Dionysus again has been cursed so that he is not allowed to drink wine. And in the book, when he pours wine, it turns into water. And in the movie, that happens, and it's expressed in the movie very entertainingly. It's very fun. Like, they take the idea, they're faithful to it, and they have fun with it. And in the show, Dionysus tells Percy, hey, I've got a very important quest for you. I need you to go and grab some wine for me from this cellar. And Percy's going to do it, and then somebody else walks up and says, oh, don't do that, Percy. He's not allowed to drink wine. He was trying to get you to do something for him that he can't do. And that's how the show explains to you that demigods can do errands for gods. That was a terrible way to express that concept. And and the way the actor even delivered his line when he's asking Percy to fetch the wine for him, it's so lame. And also, it's so lazy. Instead of doing a special effect where you'll see that, he pours the wine and it turns to water, instead of that, it's just, he's not allowed to have wine like a human, like physically he's being restricted from it. Because that's easier to film. It's easier to just film him not having wine and saying, can I have some wine? No. They did it in the lamest way possible. It was so boring. It was just the worst way to express that. And that's the entire show. Oh gosh. And there's this one line. So they get attacked by Echidna, who's the mother of all monsters at one point in the book.
Is she an actual Greek god, Echidna?
I think so, yeah.
Because that sounds kind of cool. The mother of all monsters.
Yeah.
That's a pretty
Echidna.
cool
I don't really remember Greek mythology, but yes, Rick Riordan would.
I haven't even I don't remember learning about her. But it seems like I would have. Echidna, Greek mythology. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Wow. So she's kind of like Medusa, but her bottom half is a massive snake body.
Yes. So in the book, they come across her, and she at first just looks like a nice lady with a chihuahua, and then she shows her true form, and the chihuahua turns into a chimera, and it attacks Percy. And Percy has to dive off of the super tall structure he's on where he's attacked, and he falls into the water, and of course the water doesn't hurt him because he's Percy Jackson. And it's a fun, exciting little moment in the story. In the show, this is not a part scene shot in the movie, so there's no comparison there. Only between the book and the show. In the show, they come across her at a train, and she's talking to, and she never reveals her true form. And you know why? Because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to do that, man. So it's just an actress just dressed in normal clothes. There's never any special effects to make her look like her real monster self. And the monster, the chimera, attacks them, but they get away. And one of the characters, keep in mind, this character is the daughter of Athena. Athena is the goddess of wisdom. So this character, her name's Annabeth, who was in the movies played by the actress that we both thought was super duper cute, because she is.
Alexandra Daddario.
Daddario, yes.
Yes, exactly. The record show.
So again, goddess of wisdom. So Annabelle is supposed to be the really smart character in the series. She's the one with the plan. She's really clever, all that stuff. Again, the way things are shot, the way they're edited, the way the actors act, the way it's written is very boring. And it's almost like the writers were like, oh, we made this too boring. We got to re-inject some suspense into this story. And the way in which they would change the story from the book to add more tension was always in the vaguest, dumbest, most ineffective ways possible. So think of that, that rhetorical question that we like to harp on, so what? The question, what is the consequence of this thing said or done? Does it matter? If it doesn't, you should probably take it out of your story because you're just wasting your reader's time or your viewer's time. This show has so many instances of things they change that have no impact on the story, because they take the basic story of the book and it's pretty much unchanged, and they make very slight changes to kind of add suspense at certain moments, and all it does is like butcher characters or create some really cheap suspense that just makes the characters look stupid. I'll give you an example. So like there's a flashback scene to when Percy's a kid, which I don't even know why they would add a moment like this. But he's at the pool and his mom's trying to teach him to swim and he doesn't want to swim. And she's getting mad at him for not trying to swim. And this butchers both of those characters for two reasons. In the book, Poseidon describes Percy's mother as being like a queen, and he says that he's not met a woman like her in like, what was it, 1,000 years? And like, there's a reason why he had a kid with her, because like she was she was a big deal to him.
Yeah,
she's an incredible woman. What you got?
Anytime that it's like, oh, like this individual is so unique, or I'm trying to think of like a recent example I've come across this where it's like Twilight.
No.
My wife's having me watch the original Twilight trilogy.
Oh, you poor man.
And dude, it watches like a comedy in my opinion. I've never seen any of it before. It's crazy. It's wild. I'm actually digging
another episode of the podcast. Is it going to be your turn to go on about something?
Let's do it.
Okay.
One of the things in there is like Edward goes up to the main character, the female.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're so different. You're so unique." And it's like, why? Why is she unique? Like her expressions are very stoic, and like she's kind of has this like flat stoic face, and she's she's like pretty, she looks nice. Like I'm not gonna knock her or anything or be like, yeah, she's whatever. But if you're gonna say, "Oh, I've never met anyone like you," or "You're different than a million other people," I'd like to have. It's just a bold statement from an immortal, from someone who's been around for a super long time. So it's like, back that up, man. Like back it up with something. Like
exactly.
Because it's already kind of hard to believe. And so yeah. Anyway, it reminded me of the Twilight thing, just because it's like. Yeah. Why is she different? Like, give me a reason.
Kristen Stewart,
I just see.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I just kind of see this like stoic, like constantly surprised type of individual.
That's funny. So yeah, in this case, I feel like that's fairly easy. Like his mother in the movie, I thought she was fine. I mean, she was a beautiful woman, and she portrays the character in a very sweet, kind, long-suffering way. That's good enough, man. That's all you needed, and that's how she is in the books. She's a sweet, kind, long-suffering woman. She takes a lot of crap, and she does it for the betterment of her son, and she doesn't complain. She just she knows what she's doing, and that's all you need, you know. And that's enough for you to go, "Oh, I don't know a lot about Percy's mother, but the little bit I do know is telling me that she's a good person," and that's enough for me to say, "Okay, I can see why Poseidon would be impressed by her." And the show, the actress that's playing her, I'm sure she's a great actress. The script is not her fault, but like in that pool scene, she's like the mom that doesn't have control of her kid, you know? She's like getting angry, getting kind of aggressive, and the son is continuing to be stubborn and defiant. And it's just like, I don't see this mother who like would be described as like a queen by a god. I see a mom who's at it alone, which is super sad, and
stretched thin. Yeah,
stretched thin, and she just doesn't know how to handle it, and she's kind of struggling, and it sucks. Which is a believable person, but it's not Percy Jackson's mother, not in the books. Also, Percy Jackson is afraid of the water in that scene, which is the dumbest thing. His character is supposed to like, he gets in the water and like he can think clearly. Oh, yeah. It's his zone. There's never any disconnect between him and the water, even when he doesn't know who he is. And the movie, while the movie leans a little too far into it to the point that it should not even be a question who his dad is at the beginning, at least in that movie, there's like that scene where he's sitting in the water and he holds his breath for 7 minutes. And then he says later, it's like, "I love being in the water. I feel like I can think." And it's like, okay, they got it. They understood that better than the show. And the show has the author in it, a part of it, he's a part of the show. I don't know to what extent, but he supports it and all that stuff. And what are you guys doing? So there's just stuff like that that they change that are worth. Okay, I want to tell you about the line though. Okay, so the Chimera at the train attacks them, and they get away. And Athena's daughter Annabelle says to them, like, "Oh, Echidna said that the Chimera was her kid. It's just a baby. It's not going to stray far from its mother. It's learning to hunt." And the music's like building up, dun 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 dun, implications. She says it's learning to hunt, and this seems to be the hunting part. And I died hearing that line. Like, they added that trying to make it sound suspenseful. This is the part where we're being hunted. And it's so on the nose. And it doesn't add anything. Like, why are you calling the Chimera a baby? Why would you say it won't stray far from its mother? That has no impact on the story. That has no impact on how the events go. Percy and his friends, they run away. They split up. Echidna and her Chimera confront Percy. And of course, there's only like 2 shots with the Chimera where you actually see it. And it does very little in those moments. Like, it walks forward and it stands there. It looks very peaceful. It is all but T-posing. T-posing being like the default posture of a CGI model. It's all but T-posing. It just stands there and looks at him. It looks very peaceful. It doesn't really snarl or anything. It breathes fire at him. And when it attacks him, they're in like a narrow hallway. And it breathes fire, and he rolls to the side to avoid it. And he had nowhere else to go. Like, it could have easily gotten him. But it just stops breathing fire after shooting fire at like a 10-degree arc. It just stops. And it's just standing there with a neutral expression on its face. And it's just, again, it's just like, they're just saving money. It's so cheap. It's so lazy. There's all these other moments I could get into. I didn't really prepare myself too well for this episode. There's so much more I could get into though.
No.
About all this. The main character can't act. He's not an actor. He's not a good actor. He's learning for sure, and I think he's getting better. But he's so bland. Like, he gets attacked by, the very beginning of the story, both in the book, the show, and the movies. His first encounter with the supernatural is one of the Furies attacking him. And in the movie, he's freaking out. He's like totally panicking. He's like, I'm going crazy. What was that? Oh. And then his teacher hands him a pen, which is actually a magical sword disguised as a pen. And he's like, Percy, use this to protect yourself. And Percy goes, this is a pen. What is going on? And it's really funny and engaging. And again, the actor really delivers. He really sells it, right? And the show, his character just is so blah about everything. The movie made the same mistake of not putting big emphasis on the fact that Percy being a son of Poseidon is a big deal. Like, they call those 3 demigods, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. In the books, they call them the big 3. And to be a child of the big 3 is a big deal. And in the stories, Poseidon and Hades and Zeus all agreed to no longer have any demigod kids because the demigod kids were too powerful and they were changing the course of history and causing too much chaos. And so they agreed, we're going to stop having kids. So Percy Jackson coming on the scene is a big deal. He is a violation of an ancient agreement. And he's super powerful. He's way more powerful than the other demigod kids. And in the movie, they kind of just glaze over that. He's just the son of Poseidon, and that's the end of it. And no one really is like making a big deal about it. In the show, they don't really make a big deal about it either. Instead, they make a big deal about how powerful Annabeth is. I almost pulled a Dionysus.
I wonder if that's motivated by the agenda.
Yeah.
Potentially. But
yeah.
Well, any closing thoughts just on, let's say, the original books, the movie, TV show, anything like you think people should walk away with?
Okay, well, my overall take is the books are fun. They're for kids, definitely. The show is completely boring, and I do not recommend it because it's going to give you the
Don't watch it.
It's going to give you the worst depiction of the story possible. It's just very boring and soulless. And don't support that stuff. I mean, there's shots in that show where you can see the the sound recording equipment that somebody has on their person, like the battery pack for their mic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it just. Oh, anyway, it's terrible. The first movie's pretty bland, but the second movie is so much fun. I love it so much, and I'm bummed out that that's the last Percy Jackson movie that we got. I wish they had kept making those movies, because the second movie.
You said the second one's good?
The second was amazing. It's so much fun. Some people get frustrated by the opposite problem, right? They kind of shied away from the world building in the first movie and were too generic. And the second movie, I guess people have the opposite problem, where it dove a little too deep without bothering to explain a lot of stuff, which didn't affect me because I'm already familiar with the world and Greek mythology and all that stuff. But either way, it's jam-packed with personality, and you can see that they really tried to correct a lot of their mistakes. Like the original actress who plays Annabeth in the first movie is not blonde like the character in the books, so they dye her hair blonde in the second movie. Percy Jackson's too old, and they give him a haircut that makes him look younger. And like the actor's definitively older; he's like 21 at that point. But you see them trying. They add in characters that were missing in the first one. Like you get Clarice, who's one of the demigods, who's a daughter of Ares, who's like basically, Percy's bully adversary. Dionysus is not in the first movie. You get him in the second one, and Stanley Tucci knocks it out of the park. You originally had a lot of generic Hollywood hotties playing a lot of the gods in the first movie. And in the second one, they do some recasting. Like you get one shot of one actor who might be an amazing actor, but I don't know. He was playing Hermes and he had no personality. He's just again, they went for generic Greek fantasy stuff in that first movie. He's just very stoic, and he's got his Greco-Roman armor, and that's it. And that second movie, Hermes is played by Nathan Fillion, which was completely the right move. That's the guy to cast as Hermes so far as the Percy Jackson books are concerned. Great stuff. So the only adaptation I care for is the second movie, and I'm so bummed we didn't get more. Instead, all these years later, like 10 years later, we get a show that is so bland. And the thing that sucks about it more than anything is that that's all we're getting for a long time. They're not rebooting this franchise anytime soon. This is what we got. And it's terrible. And I'm sad. And don't let Disney adapt your books, Kasen. Don't let them do it.
Noted. Yeah, that's a fair conclusion there. But reboots are hot right now. They might bring it back at some point. I know they're redoing Narnia, but I guess been like 15 years.
Who's doing Narnia?
Yeah, you don't want to know. Netflix.
Oh man, pick your poison. Which is worse, Netflix or Disney?
Screw it up. I know. Yeah. That'd be an interesting. We should do an episode where we talk about the biggest bombs in Disney and the biggest bombs in Netflix, and like one of us can pick a side and argue why the other streaming platform is worse.
Oh, dude, equality over quantity, right? So like Disney has the quantity of bombs, but Netflix like knocks it out of the park with like how much they bomb. Like they have the biggest bomb in film history.
Yeah. Oh, they do. Which one?
Oh crap! What is it called? It's like Synthetic Nature. It's something nature or something like that. It's a book that got adapted into a movie. It was directed by the Russo brothers, who did the best MCU movies.
Whoa!
You would think it would be good.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with the Russo brothers, but they did great work in the MCU, and yet every movie they've done that's an original project is either okay, like The Gray Man. Some people really like The Gray Man. I thought it was okay. It's a generic action movie.
I liked it.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, that's my opinion. But anyway, and then they make this movie, Electric Nature or whatever it's called, and it's shockingly bad. Like, just seeing clips of it, I won't watch it. I'm not spending my time watching that. Why is the Peanut Man here?
Synthetic Nature?
It's like
Oh, is that the one with Chris Pratt in it?
He might be in it. I know it's got the girl from Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just looking at it, it's bad. I'm kind of amazed that the Russo brothers could crank out something so bad. So like a lot of fans these days are like, we kind of don't know what's going on with the Russo brothers, and we lost a little bit of goodwill with them because like they started off so strong in Hollywood with the MCU movies, and I love they were a part of Community, which is my favorite sitcom. It's such a good show.
I I agree. I love Community. It's so underrated.
Dude, it's amazing. And guess what? The Russo brothers were a part of it. You know?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, they knocked it out of the park because it pulled off. I mean, Parks and Rec was good, and they found their own groove eventually. But
Absolutely.
like, if you look at season one, they tried to copy The Office,
They did. You're right.
and
Dude, you're nailing it. I agree with everything you're saying.
I mean, Community was amazing because it came in and was this original idea, and it worked so well on how to like. I mean, it's not a sitcom, but is it a sitcom?
Yeah, it's a
It's not
sitcom.
a sitcom, right? Because they're not.
Situational comedy, Situation being at a community college.
Okay, so it is a sitcom. That's right. I was thinking like for a second sitcoms like where you have the characters that are being interviewed and they're like, well, and they're giving their take on a situation. But no, sitcom, like, yeah, situational. Um, just the idea of having like, hey, a study group all at a table. It's a diverse cast of character, but that works. It's not distracting. It's part of the story
Mhm.
itself. It's like this quirky breakfast club. So yeah, we should talk about Community at some point. But
Oh,
I
I'd
think
love
today
to.
was good.
Yes.
We got a lot of got the rundown on Rick Riordan and the Percy Jackson series. I know I just butchered his name. So we'll be back next week.
All right. Next week. All right. Okay. The episode's over.